What's up, my boy?
Hola pessoas, bem-vindo a mais vídeo.
We have been living here in Portugal for more than a year now, and we are from Denmark. That's why we raised the perfect question. What is the best, Portugal or Denmark? Okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay, at least we agree.
Yeah.
But also it depends a bit, you know, because if it's professionally, I'll say Denmark. But
Yeah.
if it's like personally relations.
Like friendliness, Portuguese people are much more outgoing and
warm,
hospitable, where Danes are much more reserved. It's hard to make friends in Denmark, even as a Dane. And
I don't know, it's not hard to make friends.
well, for me,
It takes...
it's much more everybody against everybody in Denmark, where there's much more of a collective here in Portugal. I think Danes are very nice people once you get to know them.
Absolutely.
But I do think it's a problem. If you don't know them, they can come across as a bit arrogant, reserved, snobbish.
It's difficult because Portuguese people are so warm, very social people. Danes are very intimate. So when you get to know a Dane, you have a very good friend for life, I think. The next one is the weather. And I mean, that's easy peasy.
Portugal.
Portugal.
I mean, we just have to look at the forecast for the next 7 days.
Denmark, Portugal. Winter in Portugal is spring in Denmark, and summer in Portugal is not existing in Denmark.
Yeah.
And winter in Denmark is not existing in Portugal. So do the math.
In Denmark, the winter depression is actually a thing. People get depressed during winter, so
It's very sad.
Portugal is...
Portugal definitely wins the weather. The food.
We agree on everything so far, Amalie.
Yeah.
It's more pronounced, the Portuguese food culture, than I have experienced in any other country. Food is such a big deal, and as we've mentioned in another video, it means so much to the Portuguese that the first thing they ask each other when they call each other is, how's your day? What did you have for lunch?
In Denmark we have so many good dishes as well.
But you don't get it very much when it comes to the typical Danish food.
Exactly.
It's a dying gastronomy. I think the best way to describe it is that we can do Portuguese food tours forever, while, you know, Danish food tours would be, you know, a few of them, and then we would be done.
The tax system.
Denmark is, after all,
What? It's one of the highest taxed countries in the entire world. And you might say, well, Portugal has really high taxes on cars. That's true.
But yeah.
Denmark has 150% on cars.
So, and it was actually just reduced from 180. And in Portugal, it's around 100% if I'm not mistaken. So that is actually one of the highest one as well in Europe.
The same goes for normal income tax that you have to pay.
Yeah.
Denmark is the highest country in the world when it comes
actually
to income.
France is higher.
Oh, France is higher?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Portugal, you have a progressive tax system. So if you earn very little, you don't really pay taxes. But in Denmark, you start paying taxes even if you are in the lowest bracket from day one. And then you have like a free card of 6,500 euros that is 100% deductible, but it's usually spread out across the entire year.
Yeah.
And then that's not a lot when you compare how high the salaries are in Denmark.
And how high cost of living is as well.
If you are in the highest tax bracket in Denmark, you can pay 63 plus 8% in taxes. So yeah, and here in Portugal, I mean, the highest you can get is just on the other side of 50. Bureaucracy, and I think we both agree that Denmark is better.
Yeah, but every Dane who would be watching this right now would be like, what are you talking about? Because bureaucracy in Denmark is really, really, really bad.
I think the reason why it's worse here in Portugal is because they have so many rules for things you have to do in order to get a piece of paper.
Much more forms, much less can be done online.
If I want to go get a health certificate, which I need to get my driver's license registered to Portugal, I have to go to a third instance to get a numero utent, and then you have to go to the IMT, go there 1 hour before they open, stand in line, and then, you know, it's and then you also have to go to Câmara Municipal to get your certificate of residency, and it's like, oh my god, the amount, like every time you have to do just one thing, you can easily include most of the day. What is it I need exactly?
You need to go to Centro. So I'm sorry.
But what, nobody tells me this.
The school system, and I think Denmark takes this one. In Denmark, everybody has the same opportunities. No matter how poor or rich you are, you all go through same kind of education. And all education in Denmark, almost all, is free. But the only thing you have to pay for in university in Denmark is school books. And you even get paid while studying.
It's almost 900 euros now if you
What?
have a... Yeah.
900?
Ja, det er over 6.000 kroner.
Nej, det er
Jo,
ikke.
det er så.
5.300.
Fint, så lad os tjekke det. 6.300 kroner.
What?
Yeah. That is much more than
the minimum salary in Portugal.
Yeah.
But you have to keep in mind that like
Yeah,
everything is much more expensive in Denmark, so the money doesn't reach as far. But it's not bad in Portugal either. You do have free primary school and high school in Portugal as well. You have also public university and high school, and if you want to take the university, you have to pay a small fee, which would be around 3,000 to 3,500 for a bachelor.
But you can pick how much you want to spend basically. If you want to go full private, you can pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
And in Denmark you don't really have that.
No.
But one of the problems with free education in Denmark is that people, they choose whatever they want, and not so much what companies are looking for in terms of workforce. So we have a lot of Danes who are studying for 5-6 years, and then they can't get a job because they picked something they really liked.
The next one is the healthcare system in both countries.
For us, it's definitely Portugal, but for most people...
In general, it's definitely Denmark.
So basically in Denmark, everybody uses the public healthcare, where in Portugal, private healthcare is much bigger. The reason why it's a bit hard for me to pick between Denmark and Portugal is that if we speak on behalf of most people, you really have to wait a lot when you go to the hospital in Denmark. And I think it's the same in Portugal.
Yeah.
But when you think about how the taxes are in Denmark and how much money people are spending in taxes on this very thing, it is not very efficient. This is actually the best example that if you want to go see a doctor,
A specialist.
you have, or if you just want to see your doctor, you have to book an appointment, and it's always in a couple of days, if not a week. And if you want to see a specialist, for example,
Plus 4 weeks.
if you want to see an ear doctor or an eye doctor, it can take months.
Yeah.
Here in Portugal, Amalie, she had a problem with her ear.
But I'm with the private.
Yeah, okay, but
So-
still, we're paying 45 euros per month per person. And that's full insurance, health insurance, like the full package, and then with dental insurance as well. So with the private health insurance we have here in Portugal, we just go straight down, even without an appointment, and see an ear doctor, which Amalie did the other day. It's been unreal to have to deal with the healthcare for us with a private insurance, because it's so easy. You just straight in.
Cost of living.
For us living here in Portugal, of course, cost of living is much better than it is in Denmark.
But if you are a Portuguese person working with a normal or a good Portuguese salary, it is actually very expensive to live in Portugal.
Yeah.
When you are a Dane on a normal salary, or even a student, you actually still have money to afford living.
Obviously, if you are on minimum wage and earn 600 euros a month, it's gonna be really expensive to buy even a cup of coffee, you know. But if you compare the prices in general here in Portugal with the rest of Europe, it's definitely cheap. But you know, everything is relative, so it's really hard to say. But you know, one thing is for sure, that in Denmark you have like most people, they can deal with cost of living fairly easy, because
salaries are high.
Salaries are high.
Even after taxes, it's quite okay.
And that's why you see also so many Portuguese people moving to countries like Ireland and even Denmark and Germany and
Canada,
Switzerland.
even. Yeah.
But on the other hand, when you take cost of living here in Portugal, you can do it very, very cheap.
If you want to.
You can, like, if you go outside Lisbon and I mean, it's so cheap what you can get.
But even even in Lisbon, yesterday when we had dinner, we talked about how much did we actually eat for. We had a chicken for 150 euros. Then we had the salad for 1 euro. Tomatoes for 1 euro. Oh, and then we had some fries, and they were approximately 57 cents. That was our dinner yesterday.
And there was enough for a whole family.
Yeah, we have leftovers for today, so it's actually half of the price. If we talk about rent, if we talk about car insurances, it is more expensive in Denmark, but compared to what you earn, it's definitely cheaper than what it is in Portugal.
Things to do in the country you live is something that has become important for us, because
we become very restless when we have to do the same things.
But let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah. Whoop.
In Denmark, I think, at least for me, the lifestyle was very predictable. So you work from Monday to Friday, and then you just go out and drink in the weekends. And I think that applies to a lot of people in Portugal as well, obviously.
Yep.
But I think the fact that you can do much more here in Portugal as opposed to Denmark is what makes a whole difference.
I think for us it is just to discover new things, really. And what is special for Portugal is that it is a very, very historical country. That means that there are so many beautiful castles and churches and conventos, so many beautiful stuff to see everywhere. The diversity of the nature, we keep saying this, but that's a big plus for Portugal.
But it also has a lot to do with the weather.
Yeah.
Because the weather is so much better here, you go out much more. I mean, in Denmark you have 6 months of depression. And you
so
just
you
don't go out because it's cold, it's dark, it's windy, it's rainy, maybe snowy, might be freezing.
Next one, Joen, is safety.
Yeah. Portugal.
Yeah.
We agree?
I mean, you just have to look at the stats, really. Denmark is going down fast in the stats of safety. A lot of stuff is happening in Denmark right now.
I mean, Denmark used to be the safest country in the world, along with Iceland, because no one lives on Iceland. And but it's getting worse.
And it's really, really fast. I think in 5 years Denmark is below top 10. So Portugal is the 3rd safest country in the world. Denmark is the 5th safest country in the world.
Portugal just seems to be, the same, and we feel this safety here walking around. So Amalie, we're at the final point.
What is it gonna be, guys?
It's gonna be Portugal, and that's also on behalf of the average Joe here in Portugal. And I think for one main reason, the mentality of Portuguese people is so laid back that they have to enjoy life more than the Danes, because in Denmark you have this rat race, which is, I think it's more outspoken.
I think both countries has really high quality of life, but when you are surrounded by beautiful nature, amazing beaches, amazing weather, and good food, warm people, then you are just in a little paradise.
Yeah.
So even though I love Denmark and I actually have enjoyed growing up and living in Denmark, I do think that Portugal has that little edge to it, and that's also because we get very, very affected by the weather. We need sun and we need light, and we need to be able to go for a run without putting on gloves and mask not to die from being cold, right?
I think quality of life in Denmark is good.
Amazing.
And it's probably also really good for the average person here in Portugal. But for us living here as Danes, it is very high. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Nowhere in the world.
No, I wouldn't live anywhere else, honestly. So what is the best country? Portugal or Denmark? Portugal.
For us, at least.
Yeah.
That's all for this time, guys. Obrigada por ver o vídeo. Até logo.
Yeah. Até logo.
Ciao.